Where do we go from here? Okay, so this is something that I've had on the list for a while, and this is kind of a small thing. But I notice sometimes when I'm watching TV shows, Mitchell, and obviously you're meant when you're watching a TV show, you're meant to be immersed in what's going on. You want to feel like what you're watching is actually happening. But sometimes there are certain things that are just awkward and certain things that and maybe they shouldn't do this, but they make me uncomfortable because you know it's fake, but it's acting, so you just have to accept it. And that thing is when people are faking a phone conversation when they're doing the TV show. It's like when an actor is supposedly talking to, I don't know, their friend, their husband, their boss, but you don't hear the other side of the conversation because nobody's actually talking, and they're having to pretend that that person responded. That is super awkward and uncomfortable for me, and I don't know what it is. I'm curious if you've ever thought about something like that, or if you haven't, what's something similar that makes you uncomfortable?
I think it definitely matters what kind of show you're watching. If you're
Yes.
watching something hyper dramatic and you have good actors on the screen, sometimes those phone calls can make it even more dramatic because you can't hear the other person's voice. If the person acting the phone call is really good at what they do, but I absolutely know what you're talking about. We were watching, I can't even remember what it was, but since everybody can make their own shows now, whether you're on
Even us?
Peacock or Netflix, yeah, exactly. Anybody can make a show. So you see a lot of different actors or actresses, or I don't know if you're supposed to say that, just people on the screen that maybe don't have as much experience. And we were watching something, I think it was on Peacock, uh, thanks to college basketball. I now have Peacock,
Also,
which
you
is
bought into the Peacock, I
whole
don't want to
separate
call it
issue.
hype, but you were forced into it.
Yeah, I certainly didn't. Oh, I guess I bought into it, but I didn't buy into it.
Yeah.
I don't
You were
want
like,
this
man,
on
I'm
this.
gonna invest me in some Peacock. I want to see what kind of wonderful programming they have on here. No, you were on there for college basketball.
I bought it for Indiana, Michigan. But now look at me talking about a show I was watching on there. So what they did
But
absolutely
that's what they're
worked.
wanting you to do. They're like, you know what? You're
Absolutely
initially going
worked.
to buy this to watch your silly college basketball games, but what you really want is, check out, I don't know, the behind the scenes of The Office, because I know they have a
Yeah.
bunch of crap on there. And I love The Office. I haven't watched it in a very long time, but they literally have the entire catalog of what The
Yeah.
Office has to offer on there, and it's
Yeah.
insane.
Bottom line, I'm an absolute muppet. They got me. And now I'm watching shows on there. So yeah, it worked. Congratulations, people at Peacock, NBC. You got me. But we were watching something, and it wasn't really dramatic. It was more like rom-commy. I can't even remember what it was. Laura's sometimes when I'm playing video games, I'll walk outside and Laura's watching uh, some show, so I don't really stay that long. But they were on the phone, and that's funny that you mentioned it. That's the first image that popped into my head. They were talking about he said, she said kind of stuff, and just the facial expressions were so unbelievable that
It's
it just
so
takes you
weird.
right out of that moment. Like, there's nobody on that phone.
And sometimes it happens in shows that I really like, in shows that I feel like have really good acting. And
Yeah.
I'll just be like, that was super uncomfortable and weird. And again, I only point it out because I feel like it's not something that's ever been pointed out, at least by, I've never had a conversation about with somebody. So I was curious if that's something you'd ever experienced. So